Hey, hey, hey. What's up, you guys? Long time no see. Um, November kind of got away from me and I didn't go live but once last month, but I'm back. And we're gonna just talk music and current events and the legal aspect of some news stories that have been out regarding some music artists. So keep it light, keep it fun, but kind of dig into some stuff because some of the things I've been hearing and seeing online where people have been analyzing these. They're like, I talked to a lawyer and this is my analysis. And I'm like, not quite. That's not quite how that works. Of two main stories, the Boosie Rod Wave situation, which I'm not a fan of either one. So I had to look up the song. And I'm going to play the songs for you guys tonight, some of it. And it's clearly a problem. Rod Wave clearly just straight up stole their lyric and didn't give them credit. And then, of course, there's the Cassie versus Diddy and Company lawsuit, which settled in record time. And without talking about a lot of the SA and the assault involved in the lawsuit itself, I want to kind of talk about how and why this could have settled so quickly. And it's not the reason that people are online saying because she sued his companies. That's not why it settled so quickly, in my opinion. And then lastly, I read this article this morning that the Birmingham riverboat brawl people have lawyered up and are getting ready to sue people that made shirts with their likenesses on them after the brawl happened, which I think is a real long shot. But I want to talk about it because we have a lot of people in our community that do make shirts and do put images on shirts. And so I just want to talk about kind of what could make them liable so that, we can talk about it in the spirit of what could make you guys liable if you're doing that. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. I see folks saying hello. Thank you for tuning in. We got a nice crowd here tonight. So I'm gonna start with something I've never done on here, which is play rap music. But I'm on StreamYard, so I should be okay to play this without the thing being canceled. So what I want to play for you first is Boosie's song, Long Journey. And I'm gonna get to the lyrics that have something to do with it. Okay, this is the chorus. Could y'all hear that? Or did it just sound like noise? Could y'all hear that? Somebody give me a comment. Let me know if you could make out what was at least the melody, because I'm just playing it from my phone. Hello? Can y'all hear me? It sounded like noise. Okay. All right. We'll try it from here because I really want you to hear that it's so much the same song. So I'm going to try it from a different location. Both of the songs are called Long Journey, and they have the exact same chorus. Chorus. So rough streets to be something you had to be the them niggas 12, 13, 30 minutes on stage, but I'm 10 G's ready to think. Yeah, I thank you for it. And you get Captain from Was that better? And you don't even have to understand the lyrics. They ain't saying nothing that special. It's just music. Okay, so y'all can't really hear it. So that's not really, and I'm not sure without doing a whole lot of adjustment how I can make it better. There's a lot of static. Okay, so anyway, the lyrics for the chorus of both of these songs are identical. The names of both of the songs are identical. The melody is identical. He just like re-sang the hook from the Boosie album on this Ride a Wave album. But the thing that I wanted to observe, and then we'll go into what is what's happening with them. I wanted to observe kind of the writers on the songs, right? So I went and I looked at, because now Apple Music will give you credits, which is awesome. I went through and looked at the credits to make sure I was credited properly on all the songs I wrote too, and I was. So on the credits for Long Journey by Boosie, the performing artist Boosie Badass, Lil Boosie, I don't know if that's the same person or not, and Webby. I remember Webby. The songwriters are Torrance and Webster Gadney. Does anybody know what Boosie's real name is? If he might be Torrance Hatch or Webster Gadney? Okay, the credits on the Rod Wave song show Rod Wave as vocals, Rodarius Green as the songwriter, and then a bunch of nicknames: Beats by Train, Prod by Cam, Aton, Devosk, and Fast Beats as the producers. What should happen when you sample a song like this is it should also then say, okay, Boosie is Torrance Hatch. Thank you for letting me know that. So Boosie is a writer on his version. So what Rod Wave's credits should say is all those people that he has listed, but then it should say Torrance Hatch and Webster Gadney. And then his label should have gotten permission from Boosie's label for the usage. Just like when Mozzie and the YSL people that I don't even know, had to find me to be able to release a song that included something that I wrote 22 years ago for Keith Sweat. They had to do that, or I could have sued them. And this is where these people find themselves. So it looks like Boosie has songwriting credit and performing artist credit on his song. Nobody has production credit, so we're going to assume he produced it. This came out in 2010. I never heard the song in my life, but I'm not the benchmark for that. And then Rod Wave's song came out in a couple of months ago. So what happens is Boosie reaches out, I guess, when people start saying, hey, he sampled, Boosie's song. And Boosie's like, you need to come see me. I haven't heard from anybody. Nobody reached out to the label. What is going on? You stole my song. And so Rod Wave says in a kind of ignorant way, really ignorant to the law, I'm a fan. I was paying homage. I'll pull up, just give me a number. I'll pull up and give it to you cash, which is not how things are done. At some point, I imagine his lawyers or the label's lawyers was like, no, you will not pull up and give him cash and stop acknowledging that you stole this. And so Boosie then goes on live and says that Rod Wave told him he was going to pull up and give him cash. He had asked for $200,000 and 25% of the new song. Rod Wave had asked to give him 125, and I don't know what percentage of the new song. So they're just doing this ghetto negotiation in the streets. And at some point, the lawyers or the labels got involved, and Rod Wave never pulled up. So Boosie went online and started talking. People started giving him grief, saying, you're not the Boosie we knew. You would have handled this a different way. And he's like, I'm not going to go unalive somebody over music. I'm a sue. Because I'm grown and I'm out the ghetto, and that's just how we do things. And he was like, also, I want him to sample me again because he's making money. He's selling records and I'm not. So Boosie is still whining that Rod Wave has not pulled up. Rod Wave probably has been told not to pull up by the lawyers and the label. And they will eventually settle this. Probably 200,000 probably was too much. I'm not sure how much Rod Wave sells, but nobody really sells a lot right now. It's all streams. And you have to have like 1 million streams to make $3,000 on Spotify. So, it's interesting to see, but just the backstory of what's going on is that Boosie was told that once Rod Wave realized he didn't own the master to the song, that he was one of the writers, but he didn't own 100% of the song. That's why Rod Wave is saying he pulled up on giving him the cash. That's probably true, because giving him the cash doesn't stop the other people from being able to sue. So why are you giving him cash without a full release from everybody involved? I wouldn't advise a client to do that either. But Boosie's looking at it more like he think I don't own the song, so he trying to screw me. But really, it's all of y'all need to sue, and all of y'all need to settle at one time so that Rod Wave and his label can understand that it's all settled and they know what's going on going forward, and they really screwed it up in the first place. So that's what I have on that. I don't know if y'all know anything. I don't know, but I'm glad y'all knew who Boosie, what his name is, because I certainly didn't know that. And if you do want into the songs, both of the songs literally are called Long Journey. So you can search, if you just search on like Apple Music for Long Journey, it's going to give you both of those songs right at the top. What did he say? Okay, yeah. All right, so now on to Diddy and Cassie, right? Okay, so Cassie Ventura sues Sean Puff Daddy Combs, right? On like a Thursday. By Friday, the check had cleared. So who she sued was Sean Combs, his legal government name, Bad Boy Entertainment, his company, his management company, Bad Boy Records, his record label, Epic Records, the distributor for his record label, Combs Enterprises LLC, which is some sort of umbrella that probably has all of those companies that she's listed so far as a subsidiary, and DOE Corps 1 through 10. I'm not exactly sure what those are. It looks like a pseudonym for any and other corporations that he may own that we don't know the name of. Anything he owns, we're just going to call those DOE Corps 1 through 10, and they could be identified later if the lawsuit had made it past the first 15 minutes. So she filed this in the Southern District of New York, which is a notoriously tough court for BS. This court has there was like a show about this court because it's such a they just don't play, and a lot of interesting things come through there. The Donald Trump thing is in that Southern District of New York District Court as well right now, and so she sued him in his individual capacity and all of those companies. But what I wanted to talk about this for is a couple of things. Once the lawsuit was filed, before the lawsuit was filed, it was alleged that she had tried to blackmail him by demanding $30 million or she was going to sue. Let me explain to you what that is. Anytime you file a lawsuit, you are required as a kind of like a precursor to filing your lawsuit, you're required to make a demand, send a demand letter to the party and try to resolve it without lawsuit. And the court's going to ask at some point in the court proceeding, did you receive a demand letter? And if you don't receive a demand letter under certain types of actions, your action can be dismissed if you didn't make a pre-litigation demand. So her lawyer sending a letter or some correspondence to Sean Combs and all of his various corporations saying, we are preparing to file a lawsuit against you for this action, failing to hear from you within 10 days. It's usually a 10-day period. And if we don't hear from you, then we're going to move forward. But if we hear from you, we would like to have $30 million and we won't go forward. That's not blackmail. That's a demand letter. That's going to happen in any lawsuit. Lavorel Christel, I am definitely a lawyer for a trust fund, and I look forward to talking to you to be able to help you out with that. So that's not blackmail. Blackmail is if you don't, blackmail is really like Boosie and Rod trying to meet down at the juke joint and give him a bag of cash if he doesn't do so and so. When you've got lawyers sending demand letters and giving you 10 days to settle prior to filing a lawsuit, they're following the letter of the law. So that's the first thing I wanted to clear up. And thank you, Watasan, for co-signing that I took care of your trust. And again, I'm proud of you for getting a trust. All right, so that's the first misconception, is that she tried to blackmail him. She probably did not try to blackmail someone who basically tried to unalive her for years. She probably, her lawyer probably just followed the procedures. Next thing that then started going around was she filed the thing on a Friday. They settled it by she filed it on a Thursday, it settled by Friday, and she dismissed it. People were asking me, because when they saw the dismissal, it says dismissal with prejudice. So some people were asking me, what does that mean? When something is dismissed with prejudice, it means that it's not, you cannot bring it again. It's not all, it's been resolved, and there's no way you can file that action. That is with any settlement. If it's a car accident, if it's workers' comp, personal injury, no one is going to write you a check for a settlement and have you then turn around and go, oh, I hurt my knee too, and sue again. So they're going to require that the dismissal be with prejudice. The other type of dismissal is called without prejudice. And those dismissals are, we left off a defendant that we needed to include. We can't get them remanded into court, or we're in the wrong jurisdiction, and instead of getting a transfer, we want to dismiss it and file it again in the right place. So those are dismissals without prejudice, and you can refile your case and fix whatever it is you're trying to fix. So that's why her dismissal says with prejudice. It's not anything to do with what we normally think of the word prejudice to mean. Okay, so then they settle. And of course, the settlement is confidential. They both issued statements saying, she said, I wanted to do this in a way that I could have some level of control. He said, I wish her and her family well, and I'm out, brother love. And then a couple of days later, his lawyer circles back and says, hey, settling a case is not an admission of guilt. It's just settling a case. Now, me and everybody in America was like, he settled in one day. He did everything she said he did. And that's just kind of how that looks when you settle that quickly, because the door had been open and all kind of skeletons are falling out. You had Kim Porter stuff coming up, people starting to itemize all the other little funky situations that he had been involved in. And it was getting, becoming a PR nightmare. And so settling it, kind of took over the story. Although, Biggie, Kid Cudi, Pac, Kim Porter, Albie Shore, who did survive. Kimora Lee Simmons' house burned down the other day. It's a lot of coincidences that tie back to this person who has always been able to avoid this any damages to his reputation from all of this stuff, making songs about how bad you miss people. Andre Harrell, yes, how could I forget? Making money off songs about missing people. Has a song on his new album, which I think is jamming, called Kim Porter. But, stuff started coming out and some Heavy D. There's another dude, Shakir Stewart. He's an exec. Just a lot of people went on to glory that had something to do with Uptown Records or Bad Boy Records in the early days. Mace, Shine, they're alive, but so settling that quickly was like, hey, everybody stop. Just stop. We don't want to get into discovery. We don't want to have witnesses. We can't afford to have this be tried in a court of law. That is what I took that to mean, and many others. Then in the next couple of days, of course, his lawyer comes out with his statement that it is not an admission of guilt. And settlements never are. Nobody's ever admitting, yeah, I did this to you, and so here's $50. That's why Boosie and Rod Wave, that thing went off the rails, because he was going, yo, I stole your song, I'll pull up with a bag of cash. And the lawyer's like, no, that's not how this works. You need to have dismissals with prejudice. You need to have settlement agreements written and signed so that people can't come sue you later. So I think they wanted it shut down quickly before it got to the point where subpoenas started being issued to take the conversation away from everybody talking. Overnight, like Bishop says, overnight, it was settled overnight. But what started coming out like a week later is some lawyer somewhere said that, or some blogger or somebody said that because she sued the companies, it wasn't up to him if he wanted to settle. That is not true. That is not automatically true. That could be true, But this was not settled quickly because she sued his companies. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you an example that a lot of you have probably dealt with. You're in a car accident. You're at fault. You are insured by State Farm. That's who I just switched all my insurance to. Highly recommend my agent, Deidre Bembry. She was amazing. I just saved literally $3,000 on my home and car insurance. I sound like a commercial, but it's actually true. From switching to State Farm. And so let's say you're in a car accident, you're insured by State Farm, you're at fault, you hit the people get injured, the people are going to file a personal injury lawsuit. Okay? You have, State Farm will represent you in that action. Their lawyers will represent you. You will not have the opportunity to bring your to primarily litigate this matter, because if a check has to be cut, it's going to be cut by the insurance. Okay? But if you've ever been in this situation, you know that State Farm is not going to call you the next day and say, oh, girl, you hit them. We're going to write a check tomorrow. They're going to say, we need to interview you and we need to talk to you and we need to find out what happened from your viewpoint. We need to find out if there's anything we can do to defend against this. Then we're going to subpoena them, their medical records, see if they had any pre-existing conditions. We're going to do anything we can to not write this check. And anybody that's been in a car accident and you were at fault, you know that's true. They're not, the insurance companies and the corporate suits that represent you on behalf of the insurance company, they're not throwing money at cases overnight. They're going to dig in because they weren't even there. They don't even know what happened. So they're going to dig in and find out from you what happened. They're going to dig in and try to find something wrong with the other party, a pre-existing medical condition that means their injuries aren't proximately caused by your actions. They're going to do their best to defend it because they don't want to write a check. Only when it's property damage and it's like, this car is damaged, it's totaled. We're going to have our people look at it, get it appraised, and then we'll cut a check. That doesn't even happen in a day. That takes like a week if you have a car that got totaled in a car accident and you have insurance and they're the ones handling the lawsuit. So it does not travel from one to the other to say that because Diddy's companies were sued, they settled the case overnight. All these companies that he owns and controls required him to settle a case in 24 hours. They would not do that, A, because he's the key man in each of those companies. Sean John, Bad Boy Entertainment, and I forgot what the other one was called, but they're all his companies. He's the key man. He's the named insured on the key man policy. When you have these big corporations or, wealthy individuals, we always have them have what we call key man insurance policies to come in and take care of things that exceed their personal income. But those insurance companies would not just be dying to send her $30 million in 24 hours. There's no reason, because their goal, and we all know insurance's goal, is to not pay and to do anything they can to not pay a claim. I don't care if that's medical insurance, health insurance, car insurance. They're not trying to just pay. So it doesn't track for me to say that because she sued his companies, that they're automatically requiring him and forcing him to settle in 24 hours. And I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't a narrative that he paid a blogger to put out there, that it wasn't his fault or it wasn't his decision or that it wasn't up to him whether or not this could be settled. He would, at the very least, each policy insurer of those policies would want to interview him and hear his viewpoint and find out if there's anything they can do to defend against any of this before they would begin to offer a settlement negotiation. And that ain't happening on no Thursday night to be wrapped up on Friday. I also noted that, does that make sense to y'all? And had y'all heard that it wasn't his decision, that the insurance companies required or decided that they were going to settle and that he had nothing to do with that? Now, what it does mean is that it probably wasn't his money going into her bank account. He probably did lean on those policies to pay the claim and shut it down. But he personally wanted this shut down quickly because all kinds of stuff was falling out of the woodwork. And it was falling out really, really quickly, and it was only going to get worse. And that's that. I would even think that he may have had to convince the insurance companies to not do any discovery and not do any interviews of her and not to see what type of witness she would make. They would want to, insurance defense lawyers naturally are like, we have to see if there's any holes in this. Like, this is their job, their risk management, and they would not naturally want to pay something off in 24 hours without seeing if there was anything they could do to defend against it. So I would think that he would have either had to agree to subrogation. Subrogation is when an insurance company pays something, and if it ultimately turns out that you were really at fault, then you have to pay them back. I would think they cut the check and he's going to have to pay them back as part of it, which he would probably agree to do. Just need time to move $30 million because he probably gave her very close to what she demanded for her to take it in a day. She had every reason to continue with this and to publicly humiliate him into giving her more money if he wasn't giving her enough money off the jump. So yes, these key man policies, these insurance liability policies, not most of us don't have this type of insurance because most of us don't have that type of liability. Those of us who are in a fiduciary duty, lawyers, accountants, people who are the key person in a company that if they get hit by a bus, we used to call it with Julius, we used to call it the hit by the bus policy. If you get hit by, then none of us have anything that we can do because you are the business. Those kind of insurance company policies pay for personal liability like this. Similar to how businesses have commercial liability insurance. If somebody comes to your restaurant and falls down or gets shot, you get sued, but the insurance company pays it. And that's what could have happened here, but that does not happen in 24 hours. That's the part I really want you guys to know about. I did hear it wasn't his money, and that all makes sense with what you're saying. What do you think about all the other lawsuits that came out the woodworks after? I haven't heard about any other lawsuits against Diddy, but I know that I did. But I know that L.A. Reid was sued. So the reason Cassie sued in this window is that there was a kind of a window that was open in New York to allow for people to file these types of claims. It's the same window that opened that allowed this one lady to sue Bill Cosby from 50 years ago. And I think somebody sued Donald Trump the same way. And Friday was the last day for that window to close, where they kind of suspended the statute of limitations and allowed people to come and file lawsuits from old stuff. Also, Cassie's non-disclosure agreement had expired. So she was not bound by that, although I don't think a non-disclosure would have held up against the crimes that she alleges were committed against her. So those lawsuits were all filed that week, not necessarily because of Diddy, but because of that opening, that window that New York opened for survivors of certain types of crimes who can't pursue criminally to be able to file civil lawsuits. And so it was like the woodworks, like you said, L.A. Reid. I forgot who all else got sued. And they said some of the girls from Danity Kane were going to sue Puff. I'm not sure if they did, but I really feel like this opens up the floodgates for people to sue Puff at this point because he's writing checks. And, we saw Russell Simmons get sued. He went and moved to Tibet and got out of jurisdiction. You thought he was just living overseas because he wants to meditate, but he's actually staying out of jurisdiction because there were several lawsuits against him for similar behaviors. And now all of a sudden his ex-wife, who he's been beefing with, her house burns down. Okay. All right. Because she's Kim Porter's best friend. And, this stuff gets grimy. I was saying the other day, I spent a lot of time in studios in the 90s and a lot of stuff goes on. I'm grateful and thankful that I never found myself in a position that I would need to sue somebody now for anything like that. But if anybody says any of this stuff happened, it happened because everything was happening in those studios in the 90s. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to clarify, that it doesn't, because she sued the companies does not mean it was not his choice to settle. It would actually probably be the opposite. He would have a hard time convincing the insurance companies representing or holding the policies for those companies to settle without any discovery. And also Revolt issued a statement. They weren't sued in this, so they were like, hey, we got to get away from him now. On paper, that he never really handled any day-to-day, that he was a chairperson in name only, and that as of last week, he no longer is affiliated with Revolt, the television channel. I'm not sure how she missed them, but they were like moonwalking as soon as they saw everybody else's name in there. I think I also saw that Macy's is no longer going to carry Sean John, and this will continue where people are going to disassociate themselves from him because they don't want to be the subject of the next lawsuit, because where there's smoke, there's fire. So that's my opinion on that. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. It's not over for him. No, it is not. Yes, ma'am. Fiduciary policy. Correct. Correct. Once I had a client, well, the person actually wasn't my client, but they were looking to sue me over a closing or sue somebody over a real estate closing. They said that when they got the money, it wasn't the amount of money that they were supposed to receive from their closing. It didn't go anywhere, but I remember very clearly when the insurance company's lawyer, or when the person's lawyer called me, they said, do you have liability insurance? And I do, and I carry both errors and omissions insurance and liability insurance. So that if I do make some mistake or somehow harm somebody financially through my work, they're not going to come sue me and get my house and my stuff. They can sue the insurance policy. Same as Diddy, right? And the person on the lawyer on the other side went, there's insurance. And they went to the races. They were just really trying to sue my insurance. They were, if I hadn't had insurance, they probably wouldn't even try to go forward with it. I won it. We got it dismissed because I had no liability, and it was easy to prove that. But because I received the wire and I sent them the same exact amount, it was pretty simple. And I didn't steal the money, but they were trying to allege that, and they were really just trying to sue because I had insurance and they thought they could get a check because that's what insurance is for. And that's not how insurance works. And my insurance company was like, oh, show us what you have to prove that you didn't do anything wrong. I showed them. And they were like, we will fight this to the end. And they did. Just like they'll do for your car accidents. If you hit somebody, but they were drunk and they find that out, or there's anything that your car insurance company can do if you're at fault to defend the action and pay the people as little as possible. And if you've ever been hurt, you've had to have your lawyers pull teeth to get this stuff, and it takes months. Even if they were drunk as a skunk and ran right into you head on and got out and said, I'm so sorry, I'm drunk and I hit you. Even if they did all that, it's not going to happen the next day because there is a company involved. That's going to take it that much longer. So I just kept hearing that, and I just wanted to clear that up. All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is the riverboat people, hitting people over the head allegedly with chairs, and the guy that was swimming, fade in the water. Thanks for the invite. God knew I needed to hear you touch on this subject as my boys begin producing music. Awesome. I wish them well. And when they start blowing up, call me. Right before they blow up. Don't wait till they've signed a whole bunch of stuff that you guys don't understand or that we don't have protections on them. Okay, so the riverboat, people start making T-shirts and doing, things like that, like we do, right? And this, I want to talk about this for our design people, our Cricut people, our screen print people, our T-shirt people. I've also heard yesterday from some of my trademark attorney friends that they are cracking down on people using the Grinch on stuff this winter, this Christmas. Mickey Mouse and them have been on people's throats, using them on, bonnets and shirts and using fabric that wasn't purchased from a license. Like if you didn't go to like a Walmart and purchase a licensed fabric, then I'm hearing that the Grinch is a problem this winter. So if you're using stuff, putting the Grinch on it, beware. They are simple just to make a point. I think, I don't know if Diddy was joking when he said they came at him saying he couldn't be the Joker, but, he might want to put the Joker costume, want to stay in it at this point. So the riverboat people somehow intend to try to sue the people that put out T-shirts with the folding chairs, and you have a whole line of Grinch. We need to analyze where you got your Grinch stuff from and make sure that they are properly licensed to sell Grinch likeness stuff, Angela. So I'll look at that with you for you. Because yeah, the copyright lawyers were talking, and the word on the street is that that's a problem, and Disney is being a problem. I think they all saw what happened with Pooh when Pooh's trademark and stuff ran out, and okay, yeah, Timu's Grinch definitely is not licensed. So, and, you know, buying the stuff is not really the problem. They go after the people that make it. They will have a hard time going after Timu though. So there's that. So the Riverboat people, I lost my train of thought because I'm looking at comments and talking and being silly. But the Riverboat people are linking up with this law firm out of New York who they do a good job of like doing lawyer marketing. Like they try to make being a lawyer sexy. They have T-shirts. I bought one where it lists all the TV lawyers: Olivia, Claire, Annabelle, Annalise, whatever her name is, Maxine Shaw. And they have a few other things like that where they kind of just big up lawyers and make us look fresh and fly, right? And so they have hired these people to do a line of merchandise for the Riverboat people, which, you know, it's kind of one of those things where you got to strike while the iron is hot. Nobody's trying to wear a T-shirt with the white chair on it 3 months after the thing happened. People were interested in that a month after or a week after, right? So, you know, they're going to attempt to go sue these small people who did that. You know, it's going to be Susie Q down the way with the screen print machine. She's not, you know, it's not going to be huge companies, and there weren't big sales. I mean, not many of us actually bought a shirt with a white chair on it. And then how are you going to claim ownership to the white folding chair anyway? Especially while you're trying to defend your lawsuit and say you weren't guilty of hitting anybody over the head with a white chair. So we'll watch that and we'll see. But anyway, they're getting ready to come out with their merch. Fade in the Water is going to be one, and that's the young dude that swam across. Again, people gave money to him for a GoFundMe for college on the heels of that, because we all were, you know, feeling good about helping those people who stood out and stood up for each other. But I just think it's interesting that months later, now they're going to try to come up with merch. And no, it's the brothers that are suing for the use of their image. They have a shirt coming out where the guy's holding up a chair. It's like a silhouette, and they have a shirt where it has a fist and it says "Fade in the Water," and they are going to release those, and they're suing the people that put out shirts right after this happened, whoever those people may be. The perps aren't doing anything but probably trying to get lawyered up if they aren't already. So, all right, let me see these Grinch comments because I see y'all going in. Change the color of the Grinch to red, make him not green, make him rounder. The Grinch needs to be white. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to tell you how to work around it, but the Grinch is pretty distinctive, so any change would be fine. If he's red, he's Kermit, not Kermit, Elmo, right? So now you got to deal with them. So that's my little take on those three. Just I keep seeing them show up in the news or whatever. So I was just like, gosh, these people are wrong about giving Puffy out to say, oh, well, he didn't want to settle. It was the companies made him do it. I just was like, well, I mean, I like his music, but we're not going to let him off the hook that easily. So at least my community will be aware that that's not exactly what's going on. I'm not interested in going viral and being shared 20 million times as the face of this, because I don't want my house to burn down. But I just wanted you guys to be aware of the possibility that's complete BS that he planted in a effort to get it off his back and make it seem like he didn't have a choice, that nobody asked him, that if it was up to him, he would have fought because he didn't do any of this, right? And then as far as Boosie and oh boy, I think that'll get settled. And I think that it's going to be way less money than what Boosie was talking about, because he just pulled a number out of his butt. and he wants to have this guy sample him again anyway. And I don't blame him, because I'd be happy if Mozzie and anybody, YFN, MSN, OPP, any of them can call me and sample any of my stuff, because I've started back getting checks too, and that's nice. So just call me so I can tell you how to spell my name. Nobody really doesn't want people to sample their music. They want them to sample their music. They just have to be properly credited so you can get your money. And that is why nobody but Khalees gave Beyonce grief for using their stuff without necessarily asking, because she always properly credited people and they would get these checks. Frankie Beverly and the Show Me Love, what's the lady saying Show Me Love that was sampled for Break My Soul, and Big Frida, and just everybody that she used, they are like thrilled because they're about to get huge checks. Okay, I see a question. We have to be careful. I have a question. I don't know if you can answer this, but if you use music like beats or lyrics from a deceased producer that wasn't copyrighted, just on YouTube, SoundCloud, could you be sued? Yes, because the minute someone fixes a song or a beat in a medium, they own the copyright to it. It doesn't have to be formally copyrighted. So copyrights exist once something is fixed in a medium. The reason people formally copyright things is so there's the less he said, she said about who had it first. If it's been recorded with the Copyright Office and there's a paper trail to say on this date, this person had this beat. But if you take people's lyrics or beats and it's on YouTube and there's a date that could be determined that it was on YouTube prior to your date, you could be sued. Robin S., that's who it was. Robin S., Show Me Love. Robin S. was on ABC News grinning and skinning. She was so excited that Beyonce took her song and blew her pockets up. And that's typically how people approach that. So we'll keep an eye on it. I wish you guys the best of holidays. We'll come on one more time before Christmas, and then we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary at the table in February, and got some big things planned regarding that. So we're at over 2,000 members now, I think 2,100 people. And I know I haven't been as diligent as I used to be on coming on here, but the holidays just all get us all a little bit. So we'll be getting a fresh lease on it in January and coming back in here with some new exciting things, starting to get together in person, things like that. And I really look forward to it because this community really, I love the way you guys have just embraced learning about how the law integrates with your life and other people's life and news stories. And we help find Carly and all of that stuff. So I appreciate you all so much. We love you, Dorna Jenkins Taylor. I shout out the group on my page. Thank you. Thank you. To answer the question, is their dad that was the producer? Okay, you kind of lost me there. I don't know whose dad is who. But essentially, if you're using somebody's music, you need to credit them, period. So that and you need to just contact whoever owned their publishing and work out something so they can get paid. That's all. We are packed in and dining sufficiently. Thank you. We love real experts and no dancing bears. Yes, no dancing bears for sure. You are doing excellent. Awesome. Camry, I'm sorry I can't really dig into your question because I'm going to have to hop off because I have a group of people that are on here that need to get on another live at 9:15, and I'm not exactly understanding whose dad is who, so I'm not able to really help you, but it's also a little bit too specific for what we're doing in this group. So, all right. Yep. Time to go to the next call. Derek Harper's going live, and I always want to acknowledge that and not be in the way, even though we know he's going to play music for 5 or 6 minutes. But so I appreciate everybody for being here tonight, and this will stay up if you need to, check back and refresh on something. And good, Camry, I'll look forward to trying to talk to you. All my links are on my page if you need to get a hold of me. All right, y'all take care. Nobody gets sued till we meet again, okay? Bye.